are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast and for the final.
Keep yourself in the loop of everything football on the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. The latest news on and off the field, be it college football, Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, Pac-12, ACC to the NFL. We've got you covered. Listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
And welcome everybody to another edition of the GSMC Football Podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As your host, that was just so bad. I'm your host, Kenneth Grunfelder, and as always, it's great to have you guys here on this Friday. Happy March, first day of March, March 1st. We have a lot to talk about on the show today, but before I get into that, I just want to remind you guys, as always, to tip or donate and get your comments recognized, make sure to go to the following link. That is gsmcpodcast.net. Again, that really helps the show, makes the show more interactive between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. Again, that is gsmcpodcast.net. And it's displayed on the ticker. For some reason, I can't fix the ticker. That's part of the reason why the intro was, I just could not say the right thing as I got on here because I was scrambling to try to fix it. But, yeah, so for some reason the ticker is extending off of the lower thirds here. So, yeah, it's that's a problem that I'm trying to fix, but for some reason it's not working. So, but we'll figure it out. So, yeah. So with that being said, let's get into what we are going to talk about for today. You know what? I'm just not going to have the ticker on the bottom for the moment. Yeah, because now we have that new the new link, and when I pasted it in, for some reason it's extending off of the, like I said, off of the lower thirds. So I don't know what the issue is with that. I thought it would just, simply take the place of the old link, but for some reason that's not the case. So I'm going to try to figure that out at some point. But yeah, so we have a lot to talk about on the show today. So we're going to talk about the report card grades, for teams, how they were, where they were ranked, and then we'll get into talking about teams that are most likely going to take a quarterback in the draft. So we'll get into that as well. Then we'll also talk about the Vikings. Well, the Vikings will actually be the final part of the show. We'll talk about the Colts as well. I know, Michael Pittman, they're working on trying to get an extension for him. And then, of course, you have Anthony Richardson coming back from injury, so we'll get into that as well. Yeah, that's and then after that we talk about the Vikings too. So yeah, I'm still trying to figure out the ticker situation, but because the problem is I did this so long ago where I just pasted it into the into the into the lower thirds, and it was fine. Now all of a sudden I did it, and it just it extends off of the page. So I don't really know what the issue is. So, because yeah, I mean you see it here, and it extends off of the page here. So yeah, I don't really know what the issue is with that. Because again, like I said, I did this so long ago that it just for some reason it just decides to to do that. So, actually, I think I might have the solution for it. Actually, never mind. Maybe I don't have the solution for it. Well, I'll figure it out. So, right now we're just not going to deal with the ticker. Let's get into what we're going to actually talk about. So, report card rankings. So, there were some teams that got interesting rankings, to say the least. You had the Kansas City Chiefs actually were ranked towards the bottom in a lot of categories. Actually, they ended up being 31 out of 32, which is kind of surprising. I really wouldn't have expected that. But yeah, so here are the overall rankings. So you have the Commanders at 32, the Chiefs at 31, Chargers at 30, Patriots at 29, Steelers at 28, Cardinals at 27, Bengals 26, Falcons 25, Buccaneers 24, Browns 23, Colts 22, Jets 21, Rams 20, Saints 19, Titans 18, Panthers 17, Broncos 16, the Ravens were 15, Seahawks 14, Lions were 13, Cowboys were 12, Bills were 11, Bears were 10, Raiders 9, Giants 8, Texans 7, 49ers 6, Jaguars 5, Eagles 4, Packers 3, Vikings 2, and then the Dolphins were at 1. So, and some of the coaching rankings here. So, Andy Reid got, grades. Andy Reid got an A+. Kevin O'Connell got an A+. Dan Campbell A+. Sean McVay A. Mike Tomlin A. Kevin Stefanski B-. Dennis Allen B-. Arthur Smith C+. Ron Rivera C. And Josh McDaniels, he got the lowest grade. He got a D, which I'm not really surprised about because, obviously what ended up happening with Vegas, I'm not surprised that he ended up getting a low grade. Actually, what I was surprised about also is the Chiefs owner. He got an F. Steelers owner as well got an F. Cardinals F. Buccaneers D-. Panthers D. Broncos A. Ravens A. Jaguars A. Vikings A+. Dolphins A+. Yeah, so I again, really kind of surprised with the rankings for the Chiefs. I mean, again, but again, outside of Andy Reid, everything was pretty bad. Actually, then we'll go through some of the other stuff. So locker rooms. The Vikings, the Cowboys, the Dolphins, the Bears, and the Raiders were in the top 5. Bottom 5 was the Commanders, the Cardinals, the Steelers, the Falcons, and the Chiefs. Treatment of families, Vikings, 49ers, Dolphins, Cowboys, and Texans were in the top 5. Bengals, Commanders, Patriots, Steelers, and Bucks were in the bottom 5. So yeah, that's some of the other categories as well. But yeah, I was definitely, again, the Chiefs is the one that stands out the most to me, is how low that they're ranked. And then some of the other teams as well. I mean, the Raiders are in the top 10. And you look at, the coaching rankings, Josh McDaniels got, a D. So, but other than that, they were in the top 10. The Patriots were low as well. I think Belichick, his grade, he got I think Belichick got a B. And this is, again, coming off of a season that the Patriots had going 4-13. It just, yeah. I mean, you thought the grade would be lower, but again, it's not based off of your performance on, record-wise, but I guess just there's a lot of other things that go into it as well. So I want to actually just go back to the actual site and pull it up. Yeah. So let me just go to the Patriots for a second. So yeah, they ranked 29. Yeah, they ranked 29 out of 32. So yeah, no, head coach got a B-. Robert Kraft got a D+. So, again, it's in previous years it'd be, it'd probably be a little higher, but they got an F, well, an F minus for treatment of families. The Patriots, B minus food cafeteria, B minus, C minus locker room, C training room, B minus training staff, F weight room, C minus strength coach, D on team travel. The B minus that I said before was nutritionist. But yeah, that's for the Patriots. Let's go to the Chiefs. So yeah, they were 31 out of 32. So outside of the coach, A plus. I know ownership was an F. You had team travel was D, C plus strength coaches, C plus weight room, F training staff, D training room, F locker room, F nutritionist, C minus food cafeteria, treatment of families, D plus. See, I wouldn't expect that with the Chiefs, but that's their rankings. Actually, let me look at what it said. So, yeah, Chiefs come in second to last among NFL clubs in the year's survey. The one bright spot for the team is head coach Andy Reid, which I just talked about. Other than that, the players are frustrated by their workplace offerings, especially after the team's sustained success in recent years. The responses identify major issues in two areas: quality of care and out-of-date facilities. So the number one complaint when it comes to the facilities is the locker room. The players received actual chairs with backs to sit in at their lockers in response to last year's feedback. Did not change the fact that the locker room is overdue for a renovation. What adds to the frustration is that management told the players that renovations would come after the 2022 season. The players went on to win the Super Bowl, and when they arrived back at the facility for the 2023-2024 season, they realized the team never followed through with the promised renovation, other than adding chairs. The players' issue with the quality of care is mostly centered around the training room. The players feel that the training room is significantly understaffed, with only 43% of the team responding that they get an adequate amount of one-on-one treatment time. Players feel that the staff is unwilling to provide the necessary treatment to support recovery and performance. For example, players are not allowed to get treatment, preventative treatment, soft tissue work, other care for soreness and day-to-day issues, a regular offering across the NFL. Yeah, and especially the fact that, the Chiefs have won back-to-back Super Bowls. Your players are doing really well for you. You think you'd want to go in and invest in, better facilities for your players. But I guess that just has not been the case. Actually, let's look at the team that they beat in the Super Bowl. So the 49ers, they finished 6th overall. The positives for the team start at the top of the organization, with the players giving high marks to the club ownership group and CEO Jed York, along with head coach Kyle Shanahan. Responding players also highly ranked the treatment of families and the food program. So that's like the complete opposite of what we were looking at with the Chiefs. But yeah, the 49ers, A minus, B plus, C. That was for the training room. B minus in training staff, B plus in weight room, strength coaches, B plus, C plus in team travel, A in head coach, A minus in ownership. So yeah, that was the runner-up to the Chiefs, and yeah, it's kind of the opposite with a lot of the categories there. Actually, I wanted to look at the Raiders because, they were in the top 10. C plus treatment of families, B plus, A minus, B plus, B, A plus, A minus, C in travel, D in head coach, B plus in ownership. So okay, it was really just Josh McDaniels, getting the low grade there, but everything else is pretty decent. So good job on the Raiders. Also, we did talk a lot about the Jets yesterday, so they got a low grade. They were 21 out of 32. So D minus, C minus, B plus, C minus, C minus, C, B minus, B minus, C, B, B minus. So yeah, a lot of B's, a lot of C's. Treatment of families, D minus. Robert Saleh getting a high grade. A B is a high grade for him. But again, there's a lot of factors that just go into it. But that's just. But that's what I just wanted to touch upon. I went through. I'm not going to go through every single team, but I just wanted to jump around here. With all the, at least I went through the rankings of the 32 teams. But yeah, so that's pretty much it with this topic. Let me know what you guys think. What were some of the grades that you were surprised on? Again, the biggest surprise for me is the fact that the Chiefs really were that low. That they were the second to last. The only team behind them was the Commanders. But yeah, that's actually before we go to break, let's go to the Commanders, because that was the team that was ranked below them. If I could pull it. See, now I just lost it again. I know I had it up, and of course, I X out of it. Yeah, this is what we'll do quickly, because again, they were the other team behind. They were the ranked last. So 32 out of 32. So F- treatment of families, D+ food cafeteria, B- nutritionist, F- locker room, F- training room, F- training staff, C- weight room, A- strength coaches got an A. F on team travel, C, head coach, B, ownership. So, yeah, Commanders got a lot of work to do to satisfy their players. And, they got a new head coach now. Most likely going to have a new quarterback, so we'll see. But, yeah, that was a team that was ranked last. And the Dolphins, they were ranked first. So, actually, we'll look at their gradings really quick before we go to break here. So if I can find them. Oh, there they are. So, yeah, Dolphins, all A's. A-, A, 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 A-, A+, A+. So, yeah, that's good for them. They're at the top. So, yeah, that's just what I wanted to run through. So, we're going to take our first break of the show. When we come back, we will then talk about teams that could be taking quarterbacks in the upcoming draft. So we'll go through that when we come back from our first break. So with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. Feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift. Oh,
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the second part of the show, we are now going to talk about teams that are going to look to take a quarterback in the upcoming draft. So, I'm also still trying to work at fixing the ticker, but I'm not. I really have no answers as to why, it's still extending off the page here, but. Yeah, actually, what I'm noticing is it's not, so like it's just on the right side of the screen. It's extending off the page, but not, it's not doing it on the left side. So I don't really know what the situation is there, but yeah, that's just how it is right now. So you know what? Honestly, we're just gonna leave it. And we'll figure it out. It's not a major thing, but yeah. So. Obviously, there are teams that need quarterbacks in, this upcoming draft. I know this was actually something that we discussed in our, one of the quarterbacks we discussed in our production meeting yesterday is J.J. McCarthy and where he could possibly go. Now, to be honest, look, I'm not an expert on these guys because, again, you could say whatever you want, but the fact of the matter is none of these guys have played a down yet in the NFL. So I can't sit here and be like, well, yeah, I think these guys are going to be good, because I have no idea. It's a completely different game. So, we just got to see, once they get to, the NFL, how they pan out. Now, again, Caleb Williams is a guy that could be the first quarterback taken off the board. You also have Drake May, Bo Nix, Michael Penix, Jaden Daniels, J.J. McCarthy. These are all these names that you're going to be hearing, for the next couple of months. And there's, I know Caleb Williams, I think he wasn't going to throw, again, you're going to hear things come out about, if they have attitude issues and things like that, or they're not going to throw at their pro day or stuff. It's just that's what you're going to hear at times, and that's for some teams, if certain players don't do certain things, then that kind of, I guess, turns them off, turns them away. Also, I'm noticing my camera's now spazzing out a little bit, so I'm just gonna fix that really quick. So I just want to switch cameras here. But yeah, so but there's a lot of quarterbacks that there's a lot of teams that need quarterbacks in this upcoming draft. So we'll kind of just run through them. So the Bears, obviously, they have the number 1 overall pick. We're still waiting on whether they're going to take Justin Fields or not. That still remains. Trade Justin Fields. Sorry, that's what I meant to say. That's okay. That just ended up making it a lot worse. That's great. You know what? The camera issue's actually been good lately, so I don't know why. I don't know why today it just decides to. Yeah, it's just everything seems to be going wrong. The camera, the ticker. It's it is what it is. But yeah, so they got to make a decision on Justin Fields. Once they do that, then we'll know. Okay. They're going to keep that pick and draft a quarterback. I know it's listen, this is going to be a debate that's going to be had for a while until something actually happens. Again, there's that possibility that the Bears, they could end up, taking the okay, and the camera's still giving me an issue. I don't know what the problem is. But yeah, so I might have to just unplug it in general, But yeah, once they make a decision on whether they're going to trade Justin Fields or not, then, like I said, then we can move forward and, see what they end up doing at quarterback. And again, the Bears have another pick. Okay, so I guess, man, today's just not my day. That's fine. It's all right. It is what it is. But yeah, then, all right, so we've talked about the Bears a lot. So the other teams as well, you have the Commanders, Drake May, Jaden Daniels could be possibilities, because it's obviously not going to be Sam Howell. It looks like, well, I shouldn't say obviously, but it looks like it's just not going to be Sam Howell. And I know I talked about teams that, okay, there we go. So now we're good now. Because I know I talked about teams that had interest in Sam Howell, so it's a possibility that he ends up getting traded. So we'll see. Yeah, so you got that. Then also with the Patriots, they're another team. At least from the article that I was looking at, it could be Jaden Daniels or Drake May. Because again, Caleb Williams is probably going to be the first overall pick. Whether it is the Bears or not. Remains to be seen. But, yeah, so then you also have the Giants. That's another team that, probably should take a quarterback. And listen, I hope they end up doing that. I know that, listen, Daniel Jones is still on this team. And that definitely is something that, he most likely is going to be starting games for them next year. And, it's hard for me because Well, it's not really that hard for me. I really don't think Daniel Jones is the answer for the Giants. I think a lot of people will agree with that at this point. And you know what? He kind of is similar to Eli Manning, where he really he didn't really get a fair shot because, well, not that he didn't get a fair shot, but more so the Giants just failed to have surrounded him with talent. And again, I don't think he's this elite talent. I think that, he's a guy that can make plays, with his legs, and, he does have a decent arm, but I don't know. I don't see it. I just don't see franchise quarterback with him. I really just never saw it. Again, like the first couple games that he ever started, like, yeah, I mean, the Bucks game was electric, them coming back, and, the Bucks missing that field goal, and Daniel Jones wins his first start. Then he beats, he beats Washington, and the Giants were 2-2 at that point, and you're like, wow, this is great. And then the Giants just, ended up finishing with an awful record, and then Pat Shurmur leaves. You bring in Joe Judge, and then he leaves, and now you bring in Brian Dable, and the Giants make the playoffs, and then 2023 was just. It was a disaster from kickoff. Now they're looking for another quarterback. But, again, the Giants have a lot of problems. Offensive line, and they got to try to bring back Saquon Barkley. They're going to make an effort to do that. Although I did see that, he's supposedly Barkley's been talking to C.J. Stroud. So we'll see what ends up happening there, but it's going to be interesting. But yeah, it's just they have so many issues. So we'll have to see what ends up happening. But that again, quarterback is something they have to try to address. But yeah, so at least with the article I was looking at, it's either going to be Drake May or J.J. McCarthy possibly, unless the Giants trade up. But that's the case for a lot of these teams. Broncos, J.J. McCarthy, Jaden Daniels. Again, a decision on Russell Wilson should be coming soon. Most likely, he's probably going to be gone. The Vikings, also J.J. McCarthy or Bo Nix. Again, they still got to make a decision on Kirk Cousins, which is something we will also talk about later in the show. Is what's going to happen with Kirk Cousins. But yeah, then the Raiders, they also have they have the likely pick being Bo Nix. Now, what it says here, at least what I have in my notes, is they could be evaluating a potential trade-up scenarios for a quarterback. Because again, I mean, you look at the Raiders, they're working on trying to bring back Josh Jacobs, hopefully. Got Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, Michael Mayer, the tight end. They have weapons on this team. And, a rookie quarterback is stepping into a good situation, with the playmakers around him, especially if you get Jacobs back, because, relying on a good running game, when you're trying to get your feet wet as a rookie, that definitely helps. And, Jacobs, obviously, 2023 wasn't as good as his previous season, but, again, could still come out and have a bounce-back season. So, for whatever rookie quarterback steps in there, I think he is stepping into a good situation, at least with the playmaking wise. So, yeah, and then also with some other teams, the Seahawks. So they did say that Geno Smith is going to be on the roster for next year. I did see that. I know we talked about his contract situation, and could they trade him? Could they not trade him? But it seems like Geno's going to be sticking around. But I did also see that him and Drew Lock, they're not locks to be on the team for next year, but that's something that again we'll keep an eye on. But I guess Geno is okay, so maybe Drew Lock is kind of the odd man out. But also what I have here is unlikely that they take a quarterback, but we'll see. Also, the Rams is a possibility. Maybe they take a quarterback in the late round. Well, maybe not late, but maybe they take a quarterback at some point. to be behind Stafford. I mean, there's a possibility they also try to trade for one and just have, I know because I think Zach Wilson was a name that was floated out there. Maybe that the Rams trade for him. Honestly, I think Carson Wentz should stay with the Rams. I mean, if you don't find, work elsewhere, I mean, go back to the Rams. Be the backup to Stafford, because if he gets hurt, I mean, listen, Rams got a good supporting cast, with Kyron Williams, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua. I think if I'm Wentz, I'd probably stick around. But yeah, so those are all the teams. I mean, a couple of them unlikely to take a quarterback, but the Chicago Bears, Commanders, Patriots, Giants, Broncos, possibly the Falcons if they do, unless they get Fields. The Vikings, maybe they draft one just to have a future plan with Kirk Cousins, obviously getting up there in age. If they do bring him back, that's the first thing they have to. The first step is bring him back. And then also you have the Raiders as well, who are most likely going to take one as well, and maybe they do end up trading up. So yeah, those are all the scenarios there. So before we go to break, just want to remind you guys to tip or donate and get your comments recognized. Make sure to go to the following link. That is streamelements.com/GSMCSportsNetwork./tip. Again, that really helps the show, makes the show more interactive between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. Again, that is streamelements.com/GSMCSportsNetwork. And I'm saying the same link from last time. GSMCpodcast.net. Really helps the show, makes the show more interactive between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. Again, that is GSMCpodcast.net. And as always, it is displayed on the ticker on the bottom. Well, is it? I don't even see it on the ticker. Well, the ticker's not really working right now. So at some point, the ticker will work, and it'll say that. But right now, again, show's been kind of a mess today. But yeah, so GSMCpodcast.net. No stream elements. GSMCpodcast.net. But yeah, that's like I said, show's been a mess today. Apologize. Listen, it's been a long week. It's a Friday. We're gonna regroup on the weekend. We'll come back. We'll be stronger than ever on Monday, and hopefully I'll have the ticker working properly. So yeah, with that, we're gonna take our second break of the show, and then when we come back, we're gonna talk about the Colts, Anthony Richardson's progress, and Michael Pittman's future. Colts still trying to work on an extension with him. So that's what we'll get into when we come back from our first break of the show. Second break of the show. So stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast, and for the third part of the show, we're going to talk about the Indianapolis Colts. Talk about some things that their general manager had to say regarding, Anthony Richardson. Also, getting to talking about Michael Pittman and the possible extension that he could be getting. So, so obviously Anthony Richardson, got hurt, missed, majority of the season. Gardner Minshew took over as the starter, did a nice job. It was kind of disappointing because, Anthony Richardson was making plays early on. It was like, wow, he looks really special. And then just the season got cut short a little bit. So Chris Ballard expressed cautious optimism about Richardson's recovery. And now this is the thing I wanted to talk about is, expressed cautious optimism noting the lessons learned from Andrew Luck's shoulder injury situation. He talked about the importance of not rushing Richardson's recovery process and adhering to doctors' recommendations. Andrew Luck's experience with a shoulder injury, including missing an entire season and ultimately retiring, serves as a cautionary tale for managing Richardson's rehabilitation. Ballard highlighted that while Luck and Richardson's injuries aren't directly comparable, the team is focused on ensuring Richardson's health and longevity. So what I wanted to talk about there is just, and I saw a couple of TikToks recently of Andrew Luck. Really just sad, what happened with Andrew Luck. That was one of the things I actually did want to talk about with this segment, is just the fact that he has to relate it to what happened with Andrew Luck. It just makes you go back and think what could have been with Luck, because Luck was a solid quarterback. And now I knock my earpiece out of my ear. So again, just another mishap. I'll add that to the list. But yeah, it's just, Luck comes into the league, and after the Colts, with Peyton Manning being hurt the whole year in 2011, they move off of him, they draft Luck, and listen, Luck was good. The Colts were making the playoffs every year, well, the first 2 years, and then they went out and they 3 years, my mistake, sorry. Yeah, and just after that, Luck, once the injuries started piling up, then that's kind of when things, took a turn for the worst. And, and listen, the Colts, it took a while, but then they finally were able to build an offensive line for Luck to protect him. And unfortunately, again, he had an injury, to start the 2019 season, well, before the start of the 2019 season, and he just was like, I can't do this. He's dealt with a ton of injuries, over the course of his career, and he just couldn't do it. The rehab really was just kind of, he even said it, the rehab was sucking the life of football out of him. And he ended up retiring. And this, again, it was finally after the Colts built him an offensive line. He took too much punishment and he had to retire. And it's unfortunate, because that last game, it's kind of crazy to think about it, that his last game was in the playoffs against Patrick Mahomes. It's just, and you thought that wasn't going to be the last time. You were like, wow, this team is going to be good next year. Luck's healthy. The Colts are going to be a force to be reckoned with. And then he ends up retiring. And then, of course, the fans were booing him during the preseason game when they found out that he was retiring. Yeah, it's just, it was unfortunate what ended up happening, with Luck. And, now with Anthony Richardson, you understand where Chris Ballard's coming from. Does not want the same thing to happen to Anthony Richardson that happened to Andrew Luck, where you're, constantly getting hurt. Now, Anthony Richardson's a different player because, he's, going to take off and run with it a little bit. Now, Luck, if he had to, he would, but he was more of the, traditional pocket passer. But yeah, he again could move around a little bit, but again, not really like Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen. But Luck can move around. But Anthony Richardson's a guy that he's going to take off and run with it. And listen, that could get you hurt. And again, the Colts, they want to be very careful with his rehab. They want to make sure that he's good, for the long haul. I mean, this is their long-term investment, it seems. And again, we didn't really get to see him play that much. So hopefully next year he's playing the full season, so we get to see what he can really do on full display over the course of the season. But yeah, again, just unfortunate that his season got cut short. So he ended up finishing, I actually wanted to pull up his stats. So yeah, he ended up finishing with 3 touchdowns to 1 interception, 577 passing yards. Yeah, he got hurt in the Texans game. Titans game, he only went 9 of 12 for 98 yards. But yeah, I mean, but in the small sample size, you could tell, like, he could be a special talent, if he could stay healthy. And if the Colts can surround him, with the, the right pieces. So we'll see. But also the other thing too I wanted to mention is talking about Michael Pittman. So Chris Ballard emphasized the team's intention to keep the wide receiver. The Colts have no plans to let Pittman enter free agency. They talked about the franchise tag, so that's probably what's going to end up happening. They'll franchise tag him, and then they'll try to work on a long-term extension. We'll have to keep an eye on that. So, they have until March 5th to negotiate a long-term contract with Pittman before the franchise tag window closes. If tagged, the team would have until mid-July to finalize a multi-year deal. Pittman's performance in the 2023 season set career highs in catches and receiving yards, underscores his importance to the Colts offense. Again, this will be stability and keep a reliable target for Anthony Richardson once he comes back. They have other wide receivers on the team like Josh Downs and Alec Pierce, which, I think the Colts, good young players. Josh Downs made plays in 2023, Alec Pierce as well. But you want to add some more to that position, I feel like. He also, so Ballard also praised the depth of the 2024 receiver draft class, comparing it to previous years when Michael Pittman, Justin Jefferson, Brandon Ayuk, and CeeDee Lamb were drafted. Listen, you want to keep Michael Pittman, losing him, wouldn't be a good thing for the Colts. But again, I feel like, the Colts should definitely try to, and they got some cap space. They got some cap space, so they can definitely go out and spend. And there's a lot of wide receivers. Now they could they could probably draft another receiver. That's also a possibility. But they definitely like I just said, they're trying to prioritize keeping Michael Pittman around. So we'll see what ends up happening. But it looks like he's going to be it looks like they're going to use the franchise tag on him. And so again, we'll just have to keep an eye on it. Like I said, the Colts, they're going to have some money to spend. And, I think maybe wouldn't be bad to maybe try to, add another wide receiver to that room. I think also, a tight end might be something that they could try to, improve that position as well. Obviously, what you're getting out of the running back position if Jonathan Taylor's healthy. Zach Moss did a nice job also last year too. So, that's also, that's one thing that's good with Anthony Richardson coming back is, you're going to have a full year of Jonathan Taylor, and obviously Taylor was looking for that new contract, and that's why he was missing, the first few games of the season, but having him back for the full year, that definitely will help Anthony Richardson as well. But, like I said, AFC South as a whole, going to be a very competitive division next year. Those teams have a lot of money to spend. I know the Titans are kind of the fourth place team right now. I think most people look at them as the fourth place team, but, again, Texans just coming off of their, winning the division and winning a playoff game. The Jaguars, they fell apart at the end, but, they're going to want to bounce back. And the Colts, listen, they fell a little bit short. So, again, that division is going to be very competitive, and that is something that we are going to, keep a close eye on for next season. So, and obviously the Colts, they don't want to see their, right now, their number one wide receiver, walking in free agency. You got to, the Bengals trying to work out a deal with T. Higgins. The Bucs are trying to bring back Mike Evans. You got the Colts trying to keep Michael Pittman. Yeah, so a couple of, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase is the number one wide receiver on the Bengals. But still, T. Higgins is like, you could say is like the 1B, when he's healthy. So, yeah, some big wide receiver ones that were entering free agency. Well, it looks like the Bucs are not going to use the franchise tag on Mike Evans. They're probably they might use it on Antoine Winfield Jr. I could see that. Like I said, they're working on trying to bring back as many of their free agents as possible. Lavonte David, Antoine Winfield Jr., Baker, Mike Evans. They're trying to bring all those guys back, which I hope ends up working out for them. So, but yeah, let me know what you guys think about the Colts, their situation. What do you see Anthony Richardson doing next season? Do the Colts end up getting this long-term deal done with Michael Pittman? Let me know in the comments. So when we come back from our final break of the show, we will then talk about the Vikings and them making sure that they have Kirk Cousins. It looks like they want to bring him back, as well as obviously another wide receiver who is arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL, and that is Justin Jefferson. We'll talk about the Vikings and, this whole Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson situation here. So, with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the final part of the show, we are going to talk about the Vikings and what they had to say, talking about, making sure they keep Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins. Obviously, two different situations right now. Kirk Cousins, is a free agent, and they got to try to bring him back. Justin Jefferson, they are trying to work out a long-term deal with him because obviously, like I said, arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL. Most people would say that he is the best wide receiver in the NFL. So, yeah, you don't want to lose him. But, yeah, the Vikings, they aim to retain Kirk Cousins for the 2024 season. They have confidence in their ability to re-sign the quarterback despite his impending free agency. Head coach Kevin O'Connell believes Cousins wants to stay with the Vikings. That's the other thing, too. And the team is committed to working towards that goal. Obviously, Cousins suffered the season-ending Achilles injury in Green Bay in October. And this is when the Vikings, got off to that rough start, but then they turned it around, and it looked like, okay, they're going to be a team that's going to make a playoff push. And then he gets hurt. Then it looked like, Josh Dobbs, they trade for Josh Dobbs, and he was playing well, and you're like, oh, maybe they're still going to make it even with Josh Dobbs, and Justin Jefferson's coming back. But that ended up not being the case. But the Vikings did have acknowledged the uncertainty of free agency and of the possibility of competing offers from other teams that could come after contract or could alter contract negotiations. But besides Cousins, the Vikings also prioritize securing Justin Jefferson for a long-term deal. He is one of the top players at his position. He's going to end up being one of the top paid wide receivers. And see, we talk about like the quarterbacks, and Dak supposedly wants $60 million, and Jared Goff may be getting $40 million. And actually, I might reference this comment that I got yesterday in this, because it actually also pertains to an NFC North team, the Lions. But Justin Jefferson, him being one of the top players at his position, he should be getting top dollar. Dak Prescott resetting the market and getting $60 million a year. I mean, you're not the best. You're not even a top 5 quarterback at your position. And again, no offense to Dak, but that's just the reality. I mean, is he a top 10 quarterback? Yeah, but top 5. Not even, well, no top 5, definitely not top 3. Dak's top 10. And he's more towards the bottom, Kirk Cousins, we'll see what kind of quarterback he gets. I mean, he's definitely not getting a $60 million contract. We know that. But, listen, if Kirk Cousins bounces back, and they're able to work out a long-term deal with Jefferson, I mean, I expect these two to put up big numbers together. Also, another thing I wanted to bring up. So the Vikings actually did release their veteran running back, Alexander Madison. Didn't really have a good season. And he was a guy that filled in well when Dalvin Cook would get hurt. But, this was they gave him the keys, and they were like, all right, this is your show now. And he really did not deliver. He only had 1 touchdown, and it was a receiving touchdown. He had no rushing touchdowns. And, they traded for Cam Akers, and then Cam Akers, unfortunately, he gets hurt. So you had Ty Chandler. He was running the ball. But, yeah, the running back position, the Vikings, that's another team that, maybe could be in the market for one of these running back free agents. Or if they want to, they look towards the draft. But, yeah, that's something else to keep an eye on. But yeah, listen, Cousins and Jefferson, these two are the priority, because now, I feel like Kirk Cousins wants to stay with the Vikings, and again, that's what I just said. I think he wants to stay. It's a mutual thing. I think he's not looking to go elsewhere. Again, unless the money's right and it's a good situation, then maybe he does end up going elsewhere. But I see him sticking around with the Vikings. So, he's going to end up being their starting quarterback. Now, I think they should have a contingency plan because he is coming off of a significant injury. But, I think that he's going to be the starting quarterback for them next year, the way it seems. So, but actually, I wanted to touch upon a comment that I got yesterday. So, and, again, this is regarding Jared Goff's contract. So I wanted to, let me just see if I can find it. Also, one of my shorts. So I did a short on, the Chiefs releasing Marquez Valdez-Scantling and L'Jarius Sneed. And of course, this is a 49ers fan that comments this. At least I think they're a 49ers fan. But yeah, they have the 49ers as their profile picture. But yeah, so he said, winning the game with 3 seconds left for the third ring with Mahomes passing for exactly 333 yards and at the location 3333 Al Davis Way, Las Vegas. Yeah, not rigged, LOL. I go to my friends. I didn't even talk about the Super Bowl. I was just talking about moves that they made or could be making. But yeah, so that's a 49ers fan that's upset about the loss. Now let me see if okay. So this is the comment that I got. So he basically said, now this was at r.william comm 7693. So he said, QBs like Goff need to make a little less than the very best. Goff does a lot of things good, but still has limitations. Not saying you're wrong in the video because I realize that I disagree with the entire system of QB pay. I believe QBs who aren't the best shouldn't get more money than the best simply due to salary cap increases. They should play for less than the best make to get more talent around them until they win something. Brady's late career Super Bowls wins was a good example. Dak at $60 million is insane. $40 million shouldn't be an insult to a quarterback who hasn't won a championship. Again, I know that most people agree with me, so not saying the video is wrong. Would just love to see the salary cap more evenly spread to the other players. So, listen, especially with the Brady stuff. Tom Brady was never really like the highest paid quarterback. And he may have been the best quarterback in certain years, but was never the highest paid because wanted to keep as much talent around him as possible to go out and win, because that's what drove him, was winning Super Bowls. And unfortunately, with quarterbacks that I loved growing up, like Aaron Rodgers, I feel like that wasn't the case. It was like he's looking to get paid. and get a lot of money. And you're seeing that with Mahomes. The Chiefs and Mahomes are looking to, restructure the contract so you could keep a lot of the key guys that helped you win championships. I feel like a lot of quarterbacks, most of them, they're kind of just like, well, I want, my money. And I get it. But I think at the same time, it's like, don't you also want to like win championships? Isn't that the ultimate goal, is to win championships? I don't know. I mean, that's just that's just me. But I mean, look, I'm doing a podcast in my bedroom, like I have that opinion. But with Kirk Cousins, I don't think he's gonna get that contract. I'm interested to see what his contract's gonna end up being, because again, coming off of the injury, if that wasn't the case, I mean, listen, he was on his way to having a great season, especially after the rough start that the Vikings ended up having. But listen, it seems like they're gonna stick together, which that's good for the Vikings. And you just gotta hope he bounces back. But yeah, and also, like, what the comment also was saying is, a lot of these guys are not the best in their sport. Like, yeah, Jared Goff and Dak Prescott are not the best quarterbacks in the NFL. They're not. And Jared Goff does have limitations. And we see what happens when, pressure gets to Jared Goff. It changes. He's a different quarterback. But again, I mean, you see that with a lot of quarterbacks if they get pressure. I mean, look at Brady. Brady got rid of the ball quicker than anybody. Could not deal with pressure. If you get pressure on them, they can make mistakes. But yeah, so I get what he's saying. But listen, that's just the world we live in right now. It doesn't matter if you're the best or not. Teams are going to overpay. And if Dak ends up getting a $60 million contract and he's the highest paid quarterback, I mean, that's just, again, good for him. Great for him. But I just, yeah, I don't really, I think the Cowboys shouldn't really make that investment. But maybe Dak, maybe take a little bit less. But I don't know. The Cowboys are going to do that. They love Dak, and that's what they're going to end up doing probably. And it's going to be a mistake because, you got other areas that you could also address, with where that money's going to now, if that ends up happening. But, we'll just have to see. But, with the Vikings, I mean, they're not going to have to worry about paying Kirk Cousins $60 million a year. Now, it's going to be still going to be something that's going to put a dent in their pockets. But, you got to worry about him, and especially you got to worry about Kirk Cousins or Justin Jefferson. I mean, I think out of these two players, like, if you end up losing Kirk Cousins and keeping Justin Jefferson, well, yeah, it's fine. But just know now it's going to be tough to now find that replacement at the quarterback position. So, and again, the Vikings could be a team that, maybe, they draft a quarterback. We'll have to see. But, again, this is a Division II that they play in. It's going to be competitive. It's going to be a very competitive division. You got the Lions who are going to be there, the Packers, the Vikings themselves, of course, if you got a healthy Kirk Cousins with Justin Jefferson. And then, we'll see what the Bears end up doing. The Bears have a good roster. They're building a good roster. It's just we got to see what they end up doing at quarterback. I mean, I probably still rank them as, the last place team, but I think that division is going to be really competitive. So, we'll see what happens. I mean, the Packers, they split with the Lions. They split with the Vikings. They swept the Bears. The Lions, they swept the Vikings. They split with the Bears. They almost got swept by the Bears. They almost lost the game in Detroit. And the Bears, they split with the Vikings, got swept by the Packers, and split with the Lions. But yeah, that division is going to be really fun to watch next year. And again, we'll see what the Bears do at quarterback. Vikings, they got to, figure out the Kirk Cousins situation. Lions and Packers, you got nothing to worry about. Well, the Packers, they got to pay Jordan Love. That's another quarterback that's going to get paid. So, again, we'll keep an eye on it. But, yeah, that's pretty much it with the show for today. Again, I apologize for a lot of the technical issues here. I mean, nothing crazy. I mean, listen, we still got through it. The camera started acting up. That's, common at this point. But the ticker, I still got to figure out what the issue is with that. So, yeah. So, again, we'll be back on Monday. We'll be better than ever. And hopefully, I was saying the old link for the tips. Knocking out my earpiece. I mean, it's just a calamity of errors today. But it's all right. It happens. But yeah, with that is all the time that we have for today. Once again, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back again on Monday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And until then, I'm Kenneth Grunfelder signing off from the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Have a good day, and I will see you guys next time. Take care.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great.